What is good, man? It's good to see you guys back here, Mr. Fancy. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
Dude, it's like that awkward hi. Yeah, like, hi. Um, lots of football, man. Lots of football. We're just happy it's football season, soaking it all in,
Fucking thank God.
enjoying it. You know what I mean? Fancy, you weren't here last week. You had your bye week just like the Packers did.
Yeah.
It was to avoid the fact that you guys lost to the Lions, but we'll let Matt's
I pulled my groin.
Well, you had owner meetings, is what I said. I was like, look, no one's gonna talk about a good friend of fantasy. Like he's in the meetings trying to figure out what went wrong. Like,
Yeah.
So I was like, he's literally an owner, so give him a break.
Yeah. We had to talk about some stuff.
We're gonna dive into a lot of fun stuff, just like last episode. But to start us off, just like every single week, I got a bunch of fun facts for you guys, a bunch of fun little stats. This one, Fancy, as soon as I saw, I thought of you right away. I was laying in bed at night, but not. But no, we always talk about Fancy. What is the number of points that we always talk about? Like
Right.
25, right? 25
Yeah.
points is where the kind of threshold of don't let it up, score above it, you should win.
Yeah.
The record for NFL teams this year when scoring at least 33 points. The NFL, their entire NFL, 38-1. The Cincinnati Bengals, 2-3.
Yeah. That's tough.
I mean, that's a tough one to start out with. Sam Darnold
against the Ravens, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Sam Darnold and Mac Jones have played each other 2 times in their careers. In those games, those quarterbacks have combined to throw for 663 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles, and 7 sacks. Doesn't really show how well Sam Darnold has been this year, but like that was just a really funny setup. Just like, wow, that is rough. Like Russell Wilson, though, on the other hand, is currently only 2 touchdowns away from having the most touchdowns in a season for a Steelers quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger retired, and he's only played 3 games. Think about that. Think about the decline of quarterback in Pittsburgh. Shifting to the rookies, Bo Nix is now the rookie leader in passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, and total touchdowns. And that's the leaders among running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, everything. So he's leading every category in rookie, obviously besides like receiving yards and stuff like that, obviously. But that's kind of impressive. No one really had that coming out of the gates. Another interesting one, Matt, you'll love Jared Goff's 7th career game throwing at least 4 interceptions. He's 6-0 in those games. 6-0 in games.
Now 7-0, right?
Or not? Yeah, now 7-0. You know.
So to win the Super Bowl, you have to throw a lot of picks.
If the Lions make the Super Bowl, I think there's a conversation to be had of he goes in there and throws 4 picks in the first half.
Sounds good.
Just see what happens. I mean, Lions fans will just take being in the Super Bowl at this point. The Texans, I don't know what's going on with the Texans. We all love them, but the Texans haven't scored a second half touchdown since week 6 against the Patriots.
Jesus
Christ.
Not
great. Bash some Cowboys fans like we always will, always do, always will, for the rest of my life. Chiefs trade for DeAndre Hopkins. First week, he scores with them. Bills trade for Amari Cooper. First week, he scores with them. Steelers trade for Mike Williams. First week, he scores with them. Cowboys trade for Jonathan Mingo. First week, he's inactive.
I was gonna say doesn't even play.
Just a fun little jab towards them. Another Cowboys. The Cowboys set a record. I don't know if you know, Fancy. Maybe you can bring this one to work. They have now trailed by 20 plus points in their last 5 home games. The first time in NFL history. The Washington Commanders. Fraud alert. Potential fraud alert. We'll get into those games. The Commanders against teams under 500, 7-0. Teams against teams over 500, 0-3.
The Washington Dolphins. Okay.
I literally said it. I said Jaden Tugalova. Saquon Barkley, though, shout out to the Eagles. He's been tackled, Matt. This one you'll love. He's been tackled at the 1 or 2 yard line 10 different times this season, the most in the league. On those, he has touched the ball 3 times after those plays and only has 1 touchdown out from it. So think about that. That's 10 touchdowns on the table.
And I've been seeing those in the Jalen Hurts tush push in my fantasy.
Absolutely. Jalen Hurts actually might be one of the first quarterbacks to ever have a 2020 season where he throws 20 passing touchdowns and 20 rushing touchdowns. But the Bears, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna keep it simple with them because they are already down bad. I'm getting text messages. Stop messaging me about it. I don't want to hear it. Like all-star stuff. Caleb Williams, lowest completion percentage in the past 15 years by any NFL quarterback on throws over 15 yards. To give you an example, there's 468 quarterbacks in the last 15 years that this is ranked by. He's ranked 468th. Talk about a bust. Going back to the Steelers, though, the Pittsburgh Steelers are scoring 23.9 points per game, and they're only allowing 16.2. The last time Pittsburgh Steelers averaged 21 or more points and allowed less than 17 a game, 2010, they made the Super Bowl. 2008, and they won the Super Bowl. So kind of a fun stat to look out there of, hey, they're in the talks of it, right? On that whole AFC North division, Lamar Jackson, which this is what I told you guys, leaned towards my pick, a little teaser, a little leak. I did pick the Steelers this week. And Lamar Jackson versus the Steelers in his career is 1-3. He only has 4 total touchdowns. He's thrown 7 picks and had 5 fumbles. And he's been sacked 20 times and only has a completion percentage of 59%. So that Steelers defense,
Tomlin's got his number.
How did he win that one game? Wow.
Yeah. So it's something to think about. Those are some crazy stats and crazy, different.
Is that the number one coaching rivalry in the league right now? Then Tomlin Harbaugh.
It's probably the longest.
Yeah, oh man, that's a good one. Yeah,
I mean that's
probably. Yeah. They've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, that's a fun little one for sure. Because, Tomlin's been there for 16, maybe 17, and Harbaugh's been there for at least 12.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, more than that.
Definitely some fun ones. With that though, this week we got a lot for you guys. The first thing we want to go into is before we can do a schedule, we're going to go into looking at the standings like we always like to do. On the NFC side, the Eagles, which is going to be fun to talk about because the Eagles play the Commanders literally today or tonight when this is posted, Thursday Night Football. So that'll decide who really is that number one. The Eagles can go 8-2, or the Commanders can go 8-3. And then you got, the Lions at the top of the NFC North. The NFC North just looking really strong. Green Bay, coming off a bye, has a little bit of catching up to do. And then, Atlanta kind of just really running away with things since Tampa Bay's been hit with a lot of injuries. But the Cardinals being at the top of the NFC West, I don't think was in any of our bingo cards for this year. A lot of fun to see. Kyler Murray played great last week. We did take the Cardinals as a consensus pick last week on the pod, which we'll get into our picks, after we review the AFC. But the Cardinals, very, very impressive. Definitely the one that stands out for me. On
when Kyler's good, he's great.
Yeah, they said that's why this Call of Duty's trash is he's 3-0 since the COD released. So he's not spending a lot of time there. But the Bills just completely. At this point, it's going to be any week by the time they clinch the division, right? You look at it. Like they still have to play Dolphins, I think, once. And there's a couple like when they play the Patriots twice. Still, it's like they're going to clinch. They're probably the first team to clinch the division. But the Chiefs sticking on that donuts. We got a surprise for you guys on the schedule too. It definitely surprised me. But a big week 2 for the Steelers and the Ravens. And for the Bengals, obviously they definitely are in, trying to catch up. But same thing with the AFC South, that the Texans are really just running away with it, even coming after a loss. They have a layup win playing the Cowboys this week. And they're just to show the Cowboys that they're the best team in Texas, like we've been saying for 2 years now.
That's interesting that you think Buffalo will secure before KC will.
Well, statistically, it's true because the wins, right?
Yeah, I guess.
The Miami's closest is 3, and the Chargers are 6. So
right, no, I understand. It's just
statistically speaking,
it's not clinching a playoff berth. It's clinching the division.
Right. It's just a fun fact to point out for people that don't necessarily know football that well. It's like, hey, like there's more to it than just your record.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, the Chargers, I mean, and the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos had, I mean, they could have easily won that game last week. So, I mean,
so easily.
yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely something that they kind of, but a lot better than we thought they would be. Definitely at 5-5 through 10 weeks.
Absolutely.
To get into this week's picks, though, Fancy went 8-6. Matt went 8-6. I went 10-4. I finally came on top of one of these weeks.
There you go.
But that puts Matt in the lead still at 97-55. I'm catching up to you though, Matt, 92-60, and then Fancy dropped to last place between us three at 91-61. But last place still being 91-61 is still, I mean, that is a great record to be had. All of us are having a great year. I'm just hoping that Fancy, me and you can kind of catch up to Matt a little bit. Last week we told you guys. I'm sorry. Last week we told you guys that we had 12 same matchups picks. We've had our consensus picks the last couple of weeks on the pod to give you guys an idea. Because this week we pick 11 of the same matchups out of 14. So to give you guys an example, last week we had 12, and on those consensus picks we went 8-4. So the total this season has officially went to a 2-to-1 ratio, which put us at 66-33 this season when me, Fancy, and Matt all pick the same exact game. So there's a good chance, looking at these 4 games that we, go 3-1 or even go 4-0 on these matchups. Our last 5 weeks, to give you an example, we've been 42-10. So we're getting it cooking. We're understanding the games. We're understanding the schedule. We're understanding how teams are playing, how they're matching out, and everything else. But we'll dive right into it. Thursday Night Football. My Eagles are playing. All of us took the Eagles. I'm happy to see it. I kind of, Matt, I know, Fancy, you weren't here, but my emphasis last week on me taking the Steelers over the Commanders was they're going to beat up Daniels, and they beat him up. I mean, the Steelers,
they did.
They got to him a lot. They showed him a real defense, and coming off of that, type of game on a short week. Not saying the Eagles aren't coming off a short week, but they kind of just had a free week against the Cowboys. Not even talking shit against the Cowboys, but they just kind of rolled all over them and did whatever they want, and they threw in the backups afterwards. I mean, Kenny Pickett literally played last week, just to give you guys an example. So it's one of those things where the Eagles are going to be rested up for this Thursday night matchup. All of us are taking them. The Eagles know it's a big one. Everyone knows it's a big one. We have to win it in Lincoln Stadium. It's a must win. Getting on top of that number 1 division. Pretty much all that needs to be said about it. But Fancy, let's go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, Fancy talked about when we were talking about this, is Brian Robinson Jr. gonna play? And I think that does kind of play a role in how tight of a matchup it is. I kind of ate my words last week. I talked about Eckler just not quite having the same juice. And then he comes out and somehow he looks like the Austin Eckler of old.
So yeah.
Absolutely. That was kind of crazy to see. So that I think that is a piece that we'll know by the time this airs, right? If hopefully he's getting suited up. I think that makes the matchup a little bit tighter if he's able to go.
No, absolutely. And I mean, on top of that, with we talked about it with the fun stats that I mentioned. With the Commanders literally being 0-3 against teams that are above 500. So this is one of those matchups where can they finally get over that hump of beating a team that is above that 500 marker?
And we don't
for
think
me,
so.
not to keep nailing into it, but the Eagles defense in the last or since they came off the bye week, which was week 5, they have the number 2 rushing defense in the league, which we know the Commanders, their whole identity is running the football between Daniels and Eckler and Robinson. And then their defense is number 1 in passing. So this is going to be one of the best defenses that Jaden Daniels plays all season. So I really like the Eagles in this matchup. But Fancy, all of us are with you. I love that we're all on the front page here, the first one, and we all are on the same bet. We see the entire NFC North.
This is great. This is great. Let's get it out. You know what I mean? Let's see our teams. The Bears, while formidable at the beginning of the season, their star quarterback just really has seemed to start to choke. I mean, it's just I mean, they have no protection for him, and he doesn't know what to do when the pocket collapses. I didn't get to see if Jair was back or not. With him back, that provides just more downfield protection that we can still just steadily apply pressure to Caleb Williams. Jordan Love hopefully is 100%. I definitely wasn't for him starting against the Lions. just to give him another week off, just to not risk injury or more aggravation. But I do think, divisional rivalry, we own Chicago.
Yeah.
Bottom line, the Bears are in shambles, and the Packers need it. The Packers need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about, not to nail this game, but Caleb Williams being sacked 9 times against the Patriots. I think there was a stat where the Patriots only had like 11 sacks on the season, and they had 9 against the Bears. It's like
that broke a record.
Yeah, it's
or tied the record. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
But Eberflus, seems to kind of dodge the bullet there.
New offensive coordinator. Yeah,
he doesn't get fired, but then they're going with an offensive coordinator. Maybe that's the secret.
Well, did you guys see that's why when I sent this to my Bears buddy, he literally told me, stop sending me this shit. I don't want to see it. I'm going to block you. Like, I said to him, the Bears knew. So if you guys don't know, they fired Shane Waldron, or they demoted him. I think they fired him, but I don't know. I think it was a fire. They also might have just like moved him somewhere else there. I don't know. But the new Bears offensive coordinator is Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown was the offensive coordinator of the 2-13 Panthers and was known for terrible scheme plays that ruined Bryce Young as a quarterback. So that's who they decided to go with. I also saw something that he was last year. He was the Rams. He was Sean McVay's assistant coach. So I don't know. You know what I mean? There's goods to it, bads to it, whatever. We'll find out.
Maybe he learned. Maybe he learned. I don't know.
Yeah. Whoever's writing his resume, I need to write mine.
Yeah, absolutely. But Matt, take it away. All of us, every single one of our team, between the last 3-4 weeks, there's been a game in between that because the Vikings the Vikings just played the Jags. But
2 very similar logos also between the Bears and the Lions, and the Lions, the Jaguars, and the Bears and the Packers. That's interesting.
Yeah. But with the Packers playing the Jags, Fancy took all the Packers players. The Eagles then playing the Jags. Now we see the Lions getting a jab at the Jags. The one thing I told you, Matt, before I give you your stage is I don't like the -13. I don't like seeing 2 touchdown favorite. Like,
yeah, and it's we talked about this. Like this. That's a huge spread. Like and at -750, that's tough. Like these are the games where it's really tough because you want to look past it because the Jags are just absolutely awful this year. But that's the scary part. You've got this, Mac Jones stepping in at quarterback. Does he somehow pull together some magic game, against these 8-1 juggernauts of the Lions right now? That's the scary part. And I hope, and I don't think we're going to get a game like that, but that's one of those ones where maybe even the players are, kind of taking a deep breath, taking a deep breath after last week. We came away with a great win against the Texans. Now you get to play, maybe a lesser squad like the Jags. So I'm glad it's at home. I'm glad we get to kind of relax a little bit, but maybe sometimes those are the scariest games where
the worst thing
where you don't even,
I'm glad
feel like
you guys are at home. I think at home that crowd kind of keeps you guys in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're slipping up, the crowd's gonna let you know. The crowd's gonna get it. It gives you a little bit more energy rather than going Jacksonville like, oh, this place sucks. There's nobody here. Let's just get out of here. Let's just beat this team. And all of a sudden you're not paying attention. And it's
for the spread. It's so crazy as I feel like there are teams out there that just, especially with their backup quarterback, they are David and Goliath. It's
you saw it against the Titans, right?
Absolutely.
Rudolph throwing 2 touchdowns. They're tied.
It was
14 all. Yeah. And then obviously, we ran away.
He's doing what he could, but as far as coach battles go, which is what's interesting is what's his name, Doug Peterson? Yeah, we're talking. This is not the same guy, and the coaching is what's really really interesting. And not to rewind, but when I think about the coaches, that's what I think about coaching in the Washington Eagles game. And we all love Dan Campbell. He is a player's coach. So it's easy to go with the Lions, but absolutely, it is one of those games. It's just like, gosh, it seems too good to be true.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we all took the Vikings. Vikings playing the Titans, kind of like one of their little quick bye weeks. They should just get things back in order. They won last week, but it should just be another easy win for them. Where
that was a tough one to watch with just literally kicking a bunch of field goals. Those are
the ones that we don't really like to to watch as fans. But the Vikings got it done. We all have them beating the Titans easily. Top row, we all picked the Dolphins. Dolphins did look better. They beat the Rams. We all picked the Rams last week, and the Dolphins actually got it done. The Raiders, I mean, I don't know. Even coming off a bye week, it does not matter. Simply,
bye week, new quarterback.
Yeah, just
or back to the old quarterback, however you want to look at it.
One that didn't work and whatever else.
Well, I thought I saw. Is this real quick? Is this right? Are the Raiders rolling out
Minshew?
Hold on. Is it Ritter?
No, they're Minshew. Minshew starting.
That's why I saw that Minshew was starting.
They saw or they signed him or something like that. Yeah, I
okay.
But yeah, Minshew's got the go-to.
Okay, because I was gonna say that would be a bold move if they ended up pushing him to the front line.
Yeah, you take a shot. And then we all took the Rams against the Patriots. I know the Patriots we all know, they just came off that win against the Bears, but the Rams are just much more well coached, with arguably just as much talent as the Bears. So I don't think the Patriots get it done back-to-back weeks, and neither do you guys. But the first matchup of the week that we do disagree with is the Saints-Browns. Me and Fancy took the Saints. Matt, you took the Browns. Fancy, for me, I liked what I saw out of the Saints last week. None of us had them beating Atlanta. There's sometimes it's that weird, like you get a new coach. Even if the guys weren't against Dennis Allen, but you could just get a new coach and you're just playing for something different. We kind of start with the Raiders when they had their intern come in or whatever, their intern come in, and then they smoking cigars and shit after a big win. It's like sometimes you just get that little juice, Yeah. And I think last week was a really, really big win for them. And I just don't think the Browns are just well coached enough. I don't think they have the talent. Like they're just the Browns are the Jets, like of that division. And so
it's one of those things where the Browns, they have some talent because obviously they can make some wins happen, but boy, when they choke, they choke. And my ultimate deciding factor, even though I like Jameis Winston, was like, I thought about Matt being a Lions fan. I said, I'm a Saint Brown, and Saint comes first. So obviously I picked the Saints to win.
I love it.
Are you even a Lions fan if you didn't do that? Like,
yeah, that's a great analysis. Yeah. I think the magic runs out. They won their game with the new coach, and that was it. I think the hype is gone. This team is not a good team. So I don't think they can get it done, now 2 weeks in a row. Not to say the Browns are great, but when we have a pick 'em like this, I think Nick Chubb takes over in the backfield. I think he runs for 100 yards. And Winston, gives them. We're gonna see this big pregame speech, heartfelt thing out of James Winston.
The logo's on our helmet. We don't have logos, but for our helmet, whatever he said, dude.
Whatever analogy he comes up with is gonna be just
he's a nut, man.
Heartfelt, and he's gonna, get that team to victory. Yeah. So it's interesting because we don't typically see these pick'ems very often. Normally it's pushed to 2.5 or
we
3.
Had one last week too, or maybe the week before that was kind of a dead even money line.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think even Vegas has no clue and who's going to win this one.
For me, I love the Chubb take. I can definitely see it happening, but for me, if I'm looking at Chubb or Kamara, I'm taking Kamara. And if it's Derek Carr or Jameis Winston, with the way Jameis Winston's career is gone, I'm going Derek Carr. It's like I just, what I mean? That's kind of where I just went with like that. And then on top of that, the Saints are home, and the new coach is in the building. I think they won last week at home. So it's like the fans want to go back and see like, hey, maybe we will turn this around a little bit, like and make it somewhat a respectable season at least. But probably one of the matchups of the week, well, one of them, because I know a hefty one's coming in soon. The Ravens Steelers. I'll let you guys go because you guys both picked the Ravens. So Matt, you can give me the rundown of what you guys see. I don't even have to say what you guys see in the Ravens because I mean this is
what
toss up
you
one
see
for
in
sure.
them?
It's a toss up for this matchup though for sure. So
Yeah, I mean, you hear me say it every week, so it's kind of just I'm siding with the Ravens on this one because I think they have all those pieces. It's the defensive side that scares me. Like I said last week, um, in some, Mike Tomlin can't be right every single week with putting these coaching decisions in and having Russ in there. I think Russ has got a crack at some point. But I don't hate you for picking him. I mean, him and Pickens are connecting beautifully on those
And Mike Williams,
those deep shots, and then now you got a new piece for him. So I loved what I saw out of the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. That shootout was amazing. It came down to what we talked about the week before. When you get the opportunity, try to go for two and just try to win it. Unfortunately, Bengals came on the wrong side of that and didn't get their 2-point conversion to win it. But other than that, I love
the face mask. The 3 face masks in one play.
No.
What game was that? Okay.
No. It was just a bad 2-point conversion call.
They lined up, went for it. They could have tied the game, went to overtime. And instead, they run a play where they don't throw it to Jamar Chase or like any other. Like they didn't.
That's right.
They threw it to their backup tight end. Like
yeah.
I don't know. Like they threw it literally like Trey Hudson or something or Dane or whatever his name is, Hudson. It's like that's who you drew up a play to. Like that's.
Yeah,
that
was weird. I loved the call that
That's why I didn't like. Last week, we talked. I don't like. I'd rather them change overtime rules and don't force teams to do that stupid shit because it's like, it's a lose-lose. I mean, as a fan, you're like, that was stupid, or they get it and you're like, okay, well now the game's over. Like, why not just go to overtime? Why not just go to overtime and get more money from?
Give me one more quarter.
Yeah, like just give me overtime where both guys get football. Like
Yep.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think Ravens win this. If people, would you agree with what people are saying that Lamar's making an MVP push? And I picked Mike Tomlin to have his first under 500 or under season. At some point, these Steelers got to start losing, and there's no way a rejected Bears quarterback
they gotta lose out for me.
They gotta start losing. They gotta start losing, and this is their first game of conference play, right? Or division play.
I think so.
So
kind of like the Bears, where they haven't gone into any.
Yeah, the Bears are about to really get stomped, and maybe not the Steelers, but I don't think they edge out the Ravens, who, if they can't beat the Steelers, then do not talk about them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. The thing for me, like early on when I talked about the stats, that Lamar stats against them, it's like this is the best Steelers team that he's going to play probably in his career at the moment. We talked about teams. The offense that he's playing is Kenny Pickett's, Mason Rudolph, at one point Josh Dobbs. Like that's the teams that he's struggling against. Like so, it's not he's struggling against Tomlin. Like Mike Tomlin is game planning him so well. That defense is so good. I talked about they're averaging under 17 points allowed a game. There's not many teams in the NFL right now that are doing that. On top of that, scoring 24 points a game. So I think this is where they go into Pittsburgh. The cold's not going to bother them. It's going to be cold, but it's not going to bother them. Like it's Baltimore's used to it, but at the same time, that Pittsburgh that fan base is nitty and gritty, and I Vance, you talked about like head coach wise, this is one of the oldest rivalries that are left in the NFL. It's gonna be a fun one, but I just think Russ has been playing really good, and I don't think this is the week, Matt. You mentioned I don't think this is the week. Ravens defense has just been so brutal in the secondary that I don't think this is the week that Russ starts to fall down a little bit. Like I think it is coming. I just don't think this is the week because this just plays into the Steelers matchup. And I could be wrong. I picked the Steelers last week and the week before that, and I was right both times. But these are one of those matchups where you're just kind of hoping to see a really good game. In all honesty, especially at a noon. It sucks because it's that noon slate, but still. Then we got the Jets versus Colts. All of us took the Jets. Jets are highly favored in this matchup. The Colts just changed their quarterback to Anthony Richardson for the rest of the season. They announced
he's back,
which just seems like a silly thing to do. It's like you're playing the game of we talked about it a million times. We talked about last week of the starting and not starting them, and how much leeway to give him and whatever else. But to bench him, to bring him back, to bench, it's silly.
Hey, it worked for It worked for Bryce Young, right? He got his
for now.
He got his
guess.
dub. So
for now.
Yeah.
And but no, one of the matchups. I mean, all these matchups that are left on this slide. I mean, they're gonna be fun. They're gonna be a lot of fun to watch. Fancy, me and you took the Broncos. Matt, you took the Falcons. Fancy, break it down to me though what you see. Sean Payton and the 5-5 Broncos in this matchup.
I mean, I respect Sean Payton as a coach. I mean, he played with Breeze, and we all know from the Saints and putting bounties on players, and I respect that. The thing is that gosh, I don't know what it is about Kirk O'Chains that sometimes the defense just eats his lunch. And if there's a defense out there that can keep up with the Chiefs, I definitely think they can keep up with the Falcons. And then you give this rookie Bo Nix a little bit of breathing room, knowing that his defense has his back if he makes a mistake or two. Then when you just relax a little bit, I see him getting it down there. And I mean, it's Broncos at home, Mile High Stadium, dude. This is one of those legit home field advantages that I just see the Broncos taking it.
Yeah. I loved everything you said there. Bo Nix, like I told you guys, leading literally every rookie in every touchdown category. One of those matchups, Matt, you agreed with me on one of the matchups earlier in the season. I forget which one it was. Fancy was on the other side of it though. Is as much as I am praising how well Bo Nix has been playing, I'm picking the Broncos defense in this matchup.
True.
The Falcons couldn't get it done against the Saints, and the Broncos basically got it done against the Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Regarding a blocked field goal, which is not
the
offense, not the defense.
If there's a moral victory out of that, they
should be 6-4 right now with them beating the undefeated team. So like I think that's one of those where they're going to bounce back well. And if the Falcons can't beat the Saints with a new head coach and a failing offense and a failing defense, I struggle to see, like Fancy said, them take out a team that really kept back-to-back Super Bowl champion from marching in the field at home, like
right.
In Arrowhead, the biggest advantage for him. So.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I get it, but the Falcons, Young-Hoon Koo is an amazing kicker. He does not miss 3 field goals, ever. So yes, the Saints won, but no, the Falcons kind of really, screwed that one. And I don't think he does that again. I think somehow, when you have such a kicker that's clutch like that, give him, hopefully, because to me, it's a mind game for those kickers, right? So I hope he doesn't go on that trend of what the hell, the shanks, right?
I always thought about it. Kickers are just like closers in baseball, man. They are like weird, like mentally, they are just wired differently. Where if they're hot, they're hot, and as soon as they're not, they are not.
Yeah, no, and he's an amazing kicker. So to me, that was just a weird kind of, I don't know, and it's an anomaly to me that
it happens
for whatever reason he missed those. I think if given the opportunity, and it's probably going to be that type of game where it's going to come down to a kick. We saw it go the wrong way for the Broncos, and so I think he gets that opportunity and he nails.
Same situation is going to happen. Broncos, they're going to be up by like 2 or 1 or whatever. Falcons come down, they go to kick a field goal, and Koo's going to send it right off the fucking upright. Ding.
No,
and
I think he drains a 50-yarder, and it's his bounce back, and it's
I hope we can clip this and just rerun it, and they have you saying that and playing the circus music from TikTok. You just he's gonna nail a 50-yarder and then miss and then miss and then miss and then miss.
No. He's gonna drain a 50-yarder and then lose by 13.
Yeah, exactly. And then a matchup where we all sided on the same side of this 49ers Seahawks matchup. NFC West. We saw how close that division is with the Cardinals on top. We all picked the 49ers. I think a lot of this had to do with me, just like last week when I picked the 49ers, Matt. It's just CMC being back. I think the team looked a lot better last week. The team looked a lot better, and he wasn't even at full usage last week. But they used him in the pass game a ton, which that's where I think it complements the 49ers as the team the most with him, because with Mason, they can easily get a guy on the ground to run 20 times, right? But when you have CMC lining up in the slot and teams having to cover 2 guys, it's a defense's nightmare. And so the 49ers really just needed some wide receivers with Ayuk being out and Kittle banged up and Debo banged up. I mean, they're still chugging along for some of these games, but we see Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall really getting a lot of targets. And I just think that with CMC being active and looking really good last week, I just think it's we're gonna start seeing the 49ers kind of bounce back and probably end up being 10-7 or 11-6.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping to get a closer game that DK is able to play.
Yeah, he just got announced he's fully healthy.
Yeah, so with Geno, he has this great opportunity to be a great quarterback, but he's got to have a piece like DK. Otherwise, he just doesn't look quite the same. I think it's one of those matchups to me that I'm gonna trust CMC to be able to do whatever it takes, whether it's, I love seeing like 5 receptions out of the backfield for him versus,
I think he even had more than that. Like, I think it was like 6 or 7. I want
Yeah,
to say.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
as a
Getting him involved with all these weak wide receivers down, it's
when you start to get the running back, especially someone with his talent, to catch it out of the backfield too. I don't know how you stop it. So for that reason alone, I don't think you stop the San Francisco 49ers. So that's why.
And with that, I mean, one of the sets that I saw them win, he was in slot and Mason was in the backfield. I mean, how is that even fair? Mason was top 5 running back in rushing yards for most of the season now. It's like, it's not even fair because they're understanding, like, let's not make him run 20 times a game after coming off the double, like, what is it, knee, whatever it is, right? So it's like, I love Geno. I love Seattle. I've taken him a lot of the times this week. Geno number 3 in passing yards as for quarterbacks this season behind Burrow and Lamar. And it's just might be a shootout. I don't know. You see the over under 50.5. I think it's the largest over under we've seen on the slate so far. So, anything else to add, Fancy? Or
no? I mean, not really. I mean, McCaffrey being back is just a big game changer. I do like to see the Seahawks. I like to see Metcalf for sure. I mean, what a talent, what a crazy diet he lives on, and I just don't think it's going to be enough. The Seahawks have too much to overcome. Bottom line,
absolutely. And probably the matchup of the week, which I don't know how this is not a primetime game at 9-0 and 8-2. I don't know how this wasn't like flexed to a Sunday or Monday night. But this is the one where it really shocked me. I told you guys pre-production. I Fancy, you've literally went with the Chiefs every single week. And you have 9 of your wins this year on the pick'ems from just picking the Chiefs every week, even if they're not favorited. So I thought I was nervous because I thought I was going to be on the side of like you two over there and me over there and be like, what the fuck, Jake? Like, why did you said you were done? And it's just like, for me, I'm going to keep it, short and sweet. Chiefs should have lost last week to the Broncos. Broncos, not as good as the Bills. Bills better than Broncos. Bills home.
Sure.
I want to know. I want to know who the ref crew. If we know who the reffing crew is, then it might decide. I might have to change my pick, but I don't think the refs bail them out of this one. I think the Bills.
I really hope we're right, guys, because if I take another Chiefs loss.
After saying,
they're going to do it. So why are you doing it? Like, I'm going to be so.
Yeah. Sad. I mean, I went against the grain the same way as you did. Just think, I'm like, Jake said he never will. I'm like, Matt knows better. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the L and just to be different. And then I look and see, and it's like, okay, so we're all going to lose together. And we're all going to blame the same thing. Everyone blames every year.
These fucking refs, dude, are crazy.
Yeah, it's like...
And fans are like, I knew it. I fucking knew it.
I knew it. But, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, my parents are Chiefs fans, and I don't care if the Chiefs have won with cheats and referees and 2 Super Bowls. I want them to keep winning for the sake of my parents, and so I will happily start jinxing them for the rest of the year and hope they go for the perfect season to the Super Bowl.
If the Bills win, will you, depending on the matchup, will you then go against the Chiefs more?
Probably not. Because honestly, here's the thing: is they shouldn't have won last week, and they did. Andy Reid is up there.
Now,
now it's this game matters a whole lot more.
Now it's like, you guys better bring it because you guys dropped it last week.
I mean, you might. I mean, I'm almost worried that we see the Bills get exposed.
Come on, dude. Fancy just talked me out of my own pick. I'm not even kidding you. Like, I'm wishing that
one of those things I just can't imagine. Yeah,
that I grabbed the freaking Chiefs in that one. The last slide we got for you guys. Teams in the bye: Cardinals, Panthers, Giants, Bucks. Sorry, Fancy, the Bucks are not playing the Browns. Like you.
Both my OU quarterbacks are off. They deserve it. They've been doing all they can. I mean, Baker Mayfield holding off Nicky Bosa with one arm and completing the pass on a 4th down to keep the drive alive. I mean, what more can you ask out of somebody? I mean, Jesus Christ, just give him some protection and a little bit of defense. God. So, anyways, back to you.
All right. Equal sign. Bengals Chargers game, really fun one. I mean, I guess I understand why this wasn't flexed out of it, but the Monday night game, I mean, what a pile of shit. Sorry,
so many tickets are available to be bought.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
you might want to go just to go see CJ. I mean, why not?
So I don't think they were able to flex it because after the debacle with the sunshine at Cowboy Stadium, I think they had
a night game.
They had to keep a night game because Jerry didn't understand.
Jerry paid an extra NFL fine just to hey guys, we can't get the windows ready.
Yes, he said the moon is gonna be out.
Yeah,
the moon is there. I need it to go through the windows.
Yeah,
because I talked about the moon while we're talking about the sunshine blaring through.
We'll skip through that game. We all picked the Texans. Cowboys suck. They're gonna go through 4 different quarterbacks. Somehow they'll still get blinded by the sun, even though it's a night game. They'll blame all kinds of stuff. Jerry Jones won't make any difference, and it could be the game that Mike McCarthy finally gets fired in. I don't know. But the Sunday Night Football game, Bengals Chargers. I was shocked by this because, Matt, I went with the Bengals because I thought you were going to go with the Chargers. So that was my, you talked about, Fancy just mentioned, he thought we were going to go Chiefs. He would have went Bills.
Right.
This was my game where I thought I was going to maybe edge
sneak
the bet,
one up,
right? Sneak one up. You take the Chargers because you're a homie pick with Harbaugh. But I'll call up Jim afterwards and let him know that you're officially not a Michigan fan anymore.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
don't tell him.
He's a starting now.
So I guess I was most interested in why? For you, I have my points, but why? What's Chargers coming off a good win, and
right. But I'm impressed. What are my 2 talking points? Burrow MVP, Chargers winning the division.
Oh, I thought it was just Lions, Dan Campbell.
Well, that too. No, that's 1A, and then this is B and C. So I'm ultimately, my takeaway is Burrow in that shootout Thursday night, right? He got a primetime game and he just balled out. I'm giving him that, second next week in a row. I think he's able to ball out on primetime again. So to me, that's, if I like both teams here, I'm going with that performance from him at that MVP level. Cause I think the Bengals, back against the wall, need this one a little bit more than the Chargers. So that's what kind of pushed me to that narrative instead.
Yeah, especially if T. Higgins is going to be healthy. Talking about primetime, Joe Burrow is literally showing everyone why, Matt, me and you, not everyone, I guess, because not everyone listens to us, but we've been saying Joe Burrow MVP, right? He's showing people that I'm MVP, but we can't fucking win. I'm putting up 38 points a game sometimes. You know what I mean? It's he has 2 games this season where across 9 touchdowns in 2 games, and he's lost both games. It's unheard of. It really is. So that's kind of where I led to is we're gonna see him shining under the lights, just like Ja'Marr Chase will. I mean, Ja'Marr Chase is having a great year.
So good.
And Bengals winning shootouts, and I don't think the Chargers have enough power to. This is where the Chargers learn we have to make a splash in the draft for a wide receiver, a pure one like Malik Neighbors, Odunze, something like that. Because Ladd McConkey is going to be good. He's going to be good number 2. And so whether they make a splash in free agency or not, I think this is where it exposes them of if our defense can't keep them sub 20, sub 25 points, we aren't going to compete in this league. You know what I mean? With that mindset, we need to be able to go into these shootouts in prime time and let Herbert do what Herbert's very well capable of doing. So I like Joey B and the Bengals, winning just by pure points. They don't need a defense when you put up 40.
I mean that's absolutely true.
And maybe you do, I guess. Like,
I mean, but he's used to it at least, But the thing is, I mean, gosh, when we talk about MVP and you talk about Joe Burrow, it's like, it's a lot of times I think it's like, with the teams be in playoff contention without him, it's like they're not really in playoff contention now, but it's not his fault. And it's like, would they be first draft pick contention without him? And it's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you're absolutely making an argument where for a quarterback that's going to absolutely, I mean, he's, he, as far as like the AFC Baker Mayfield, he puts it all out there. I do think he's better than Baker Mayfield, but he's like, he plays for the team. He doesn't complain about getting hit. He doesn't complain about getting sacked. And he's not afraid of a defense.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that goes so under the radar for him is how much he's sacked. Like, do you guys remember? Do you guys remember his first two seasons? We're like, this kid's not gonna. We were like, we were like, this kid out of LSU is not going to survive. Like, he tore his ACL. Like, he was getting smoked. Like, he was setting records for most sacked. And so that's why I tell Bears fans, it's like, hey, you can have a good quarterback that still gets sacked and he'll still put up 300 yards. Dude. Especially with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roman Dunze, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. So and the top 5 defense.
You're talking a quarterback getting smoked in the backfield and still going to the Super Bowl over Pat Mahomes.
Exactly.
Who else is not Lamar?
So the Bears fans,
not Tua, not Josh Allen.
They just got to figure that shit out.
It's Joey B. So it's like, if you could just get some protection, and I'm telling you, what a little bit more protection in the Super Bowl, and he's got a ring already.
Yeah, absolutely.
So absolutely. I mean, Harbaugh's a great coach. I do think they're just missing too many pieces to take over the Bengals, or to take the Bengals on.
Yeah, and it's a shame because they have a great defense. They really do.
I do like Herbert.
Yeah. That leads us into our DK segment. Our DK segment. I mean, is there really any surprise on who won this week?
Yes.
Is there?
No.
All right. Just want to make sure. So I think now, Matt, can you explain to me how the trophies work? You guys have 5 of them total, and I have 5.
So it's kind of like golf. It's the lower score you want.
There you go. There you go. I like that.
Either way, I'm still in second, so whatever. It's like, all right.
It's just like, I don't care. You guys do whatever you guys need.
No, great showing though. Look at all those. Those are some nice high points. I mean,
yeah, how they're not fire. Once again, we still haven't figured it out.
Still don't understand, but
still don't understand it. But I've been high on Tracy all season. I talked about Russell with Marcus. Marcus took Russell with me as well this week. Pickens worked out well with that bubble. Andrews, another great performance. I think he's back to his pure like tight end one. There's no question. I think he was just milking an injury early on in the season. But Matt St. Brown, I mean, that's who I told you I spent a lot of money on that I was expecting. I was expecting more points than this, but I mean, this is what you pay that amount for, right? You pay for a 15 plus. That's what he gave me, and so I'm not going to complain about it. Fancy James Conner, solid. Cooper Kupp for you, Matt. It's funny because 15 points and it's still an ice for you. Just kind of silly there. But none of us really picked a good defense. I mean, Fancy, you had 8, but none of us, double-digit defense. But Matt, you, Kittle, and Jennings. I mean, 14.7 and 16.3. We just need you boys to get into the 100 marker. I mean, me winning with 116 isn't great.
Yeah, that's not a solid win. But when you think, it's like I picked Darnold, NFC North. Hopkins on the Super Bowl team. Flowers getting thrown
Hopkins. I mentioned it last week. Hopkins, he got matched up against Pat Surtain, the number 1 corner in the league. That's a rough matchup.
I know, but
Zay Flowers really hurt you for sure.
Yeah, Zay Flowers getting thrown to by an MVP candidate. Addison also another Darnold. It's like, and then Lions, the Super Bowls, the second most likely Super Bowl contenders defense. It's like nobody showed up, and it's like the NFC North, who has got the best record overall.
Well, 8 points still is still good.
That's it's not bad. But I'm saying the NFC North overall is kind of what I leaned into.
Yeah.
In my mind, and I'm like, the 6 points over the freaking Jags.
Yeah.
Or 5 points. It's like, oh my God, who would have saw that coming?
Yeah, for sure. But that puts the win totals at 5 for me, 3 for Fancy, and 2 for Matt. So this is week 11. That means you boys got 8 weeks to get it going.
8 plus 3 is 11. All right.
Yes.
No worries.
I was like, what? This week though, this will be the first time ever. on the podcast history that we have 3 of the same. So we should be
we
able to
love
keep
our
it short and
matchups
simple
here
for you guys, because when I break it down, it should be the same breakdown for you guys, so we won't have to go over it multiple times. But for me, I mean, Fancy, we nailed it, right? Bo Nix. Let him run all over the Falcons there. Matt, you trickled in with, we were looking at Bo Nix rushing yards for our parlay and everything like that. But I love Bo Nix's matchup. He's been playing great. I mean, you see the points. He's literally averaging more points in fantasy per game than Herbert and Goff. I mean, he's really going under the radar here, especially with what he can do with his legs. Fancy, me and you and Kareem Hunt. I mean, he's been such a consistent, player. And it'll probably be the last week that he'll be really useful, because Pacheco is being activated off IR. He probably won't be back this week, but this will be the last time that we can use Hunt in these lineups efficiently, at least. But we all went with Montgomery. The way I viewed it, probably most of you guys viewed it as well, was Montgomery against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to go up a bunch, and it's going to be a Gibbs Montgomery day. It's not going to be St. Brown might get a couple of catches, but it's going to be a big run game for them. And then Jauan Jennings, I see it being a shootout. He's still the number 1 receiving leader. Maybe Kittle caught up to him this past week, but Jauan Jennings, 75 yards last week. He was the receiving leader last week in yards. I just love. For that price, it's so cheap. I had a bubble up. Yep. Yeah, I had a bubble up with Sutton. Fancy, I see you took Sutton as well. Very, very cheap price for a wide receiver 1 that Bo Nix has a really good connection with.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it later with Cedric Tillman, but he's had a great 3 games where they've given him that number 1 spots, and he has a great connection with Winston. In all honesty, Kraft against Chicago just went with something cheap. I think
coming back off the bye too.
Coming back off the bye, Kraft scores a touchdown in Chicago. He does an honorary Rodgers belt action for Fancy. Fancy is all horny, all good to go, and it's great. We also took George Pickens. I almost went Russell Wilson again this week. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had him in my lineup, but I got out of there. But Pickens worked out well for me last week with the bubble with Wilson. And then I just went Colts defense. I know we all picked the Jets, but the Jets offense really has been struggling, and the Colts defenses looked great. So I just really like, this is one of those teams where this is the lineup that I really, really do like. So
let's throw that one in the $1 million challenge or something.
Yeah, I really do like it.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad lineup.
Boom. Matt, we talk about the boom bust. There's a lot of boom in this lineup, so
I like it.
Yeah, I went with Goff this time. I spent a little extra, the most, some might say. It's Jacksonville. Goff's not going to throw another 15 interceptions, and he's going to have another perfect game against.
Yeah, not to nail that, but not to draw fancy. That was the weird part. Was like we've just been emphasizing how good he was with completion. It's like he's got more incompletions he's got less incompletions than touchdowns. All his crazy stats, and then he throws 5 picks. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Let me. Since we didn't get it,
there was a couple that weren't really,
Yeah.
like
so we talked about it before. Sorry to go on a tangent real quick, but I was talking about how Goff was like he was seeing it right. His first read was the right read. That's why he's the completion percentage was spot on, and then all of a sudden in this game he's starting to throw stuff in the dirt. He's starting to you're seeing all these incompletions because he's not seeing it right. He's not seeing that first read that was open, and then he starts to just all of a sudden try to do a Russell Wilson. He just airs it out to a couple of those.
And credit to DeMeco Ryans. That might have been more DeMeco Ryan's scheme than we thought. Like getting rid of that first read for him. But yeah,
he is a good coach.
Jared Goff. 17 picks this week for you. I like it.
Yeah, that should be. Do
you think he's going to throw more touchdowns than interceptions this week?
This week, I think he will. We'll say 1-to-1 ratio.
I like that. I think that's a good line.
I think it's in the first half is where we'll know, because again, if they come out to a big lead in the first half, I don't think we're seeing much out of him, and that's the only downside of your pick right now. Fancy is.
The bottom line is I think Doug Peterson feels him. If Mike McCarthy's if Mike McCarthy's in the hot seat, then Doug Peterson's in the hot seat. So
we said it last year. He's really steaming hot.
Absolutely. Yeah. I see a better Jacksonville than we've seen so far, considering the quarterback situation. Yep. But Goff and Dan Campbell, the whole team, they're absolutely outstanding. He's going to get me some points. I will beat you guys solely with just Jared Goff. Obviously, you nailed Kareem Hunt, which I am excited for Kareem Hunt. We are talking about him not getting as many carries this after this week, but given like a Gibbs Montgomery kind of possible scenario, I mean, I think Pacheco coming back is definitely going to be a crazy Chiefs situation.
You think MVS? You think MVS does?
Yeah, Scantling is who I was going to talk about. It's like, dude, if you would just catch this ball with the Chiefs, you would still be a Chief, and you would still win a third.
With
you would go to another Super Bowl.
Rodgers might have brought you to New York.
I mean, something, dude. It's like, why did you get your hands in the worst team? Like, it's like,
he's
dude,
30 years old now, and he just finally bought a pair of hands.
It's like, holy shit, dude, get him. I mean, God, they're expensive now. And Freiermuth, I mean, I like him. As far
as scoring game possibly too. I mean,
absolutely. And I think Pittsburgh's going to have to, it's going to go through the reads against. I know their defense isn't the best, but they're going to have to go through the reads, and he's going to be getting those 3rd and 6 to 3rd and 4s, and just keeping the drive alive. As I see a lot of targets, and I definitely would say double digits for Freiermuth, pending an injury. And then the Vikings defense, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's the NFC North. Like, act like you have a pair.
So I'm talk. Yep, I'm going with Herbert. We talked about that game, and I think it hopefully is a shootout. Just going back and forth between the two, between Burrow and him. So I think he's gonna produce there. We talked about Tomlin against Lamar, right? But what we didn't talk about is kind of the X factor to me is Derrick Henry.
I think Lamar Henry.
I think
that's his middle name. I swear. I'm not. That's not. Okay. Oh, you didn't know that? That's actually That's actually is Derrick Lamar Henry.
Okay. So I think if you contain Lamar, the X factor is how. What's that?
Lamar Jackson or Lamar Henry?
Even if that's true, I don't believe it.
Oh, it really is. I swear.
I was going to say, even if it's true, I don't believe it.
So I think you can't. You're going to stop one of them. So if he game plans against Lamar, that's fine. Just hand it off to Derrick Henry.
Okay.
So that's why I spent up for that one because I that's where I'm confident that he's going to be the one that just
a lot of money, but I mean I could see a 2-3 touchdown game in store for him for sure.
Yep. We talked about Montgomery. We talked about Pickens. One of the players that's kind of sneakily, we saw it. Man. Yeah, we saw it against the Lions though, but yeah, Ridley is just coming into his own. He was a good player, and now he's kind of showing it again, which is great. The price point for him though is kind of weird. We're seeing him at 62, but then we see Jennings down at 53. Like,
yeah, that's why I don't. Sometimes it's the value for me that I'm just like, that don't make any sense. Like,
I know. So the disparity there is kind of tough, but at the same time, I had some money when I go double tight end. Like, we got Hockenson. I was wrong on his first week back. We should have just waited
last week
because last week they really showed that that's how you use him, right? You just throw it to him. He's going to catch it. And we got some good yardage out of him last week. So I think they do it again against Tennessee here. And then my double tight end this week is I'm back to Gesicki. It's going to be tough. We'll see if T. Higgins is ready to go. If they kind of then push away from Gesicki, I don't know how that's going to be utilized yet. But I'm taking the gamble at 4,100. I think he's got a shot there. And then I went the opposite side of your defense matchup.
Yeah.
Kind of for the same reasons though, but I think the Jets have a good matchup against
especially with Anthony Richardson being he might throw 3 picks. I mean, him and Goff might compete for the most picks this week. I will say a fun fact, the Jets defense is the worst in every category since the Robert Saleh fire, which is interesting enough. I mean, he's good. We talk about it. Some head coaches just aren't great head coaches. I don't think that's the case with that in this situation, but some coaches just are better offensive coordinators and are better defensive coordinators, et cetera, et cetera. Let us know down in the comment. We get one comment. If we get one comment that if Matt doesn't win this week with double tight ends, we can't let him have double tight ends anymore.
Ban for life.
Ban for life.
Let's hear it.
All right. One comment down below. Before we get into trivia, we have our parlay, which last week we can blame the Browns fan.
Yeah, I think we're banning our guests from.
I will say he's 1 for 1. To be fair, he's 1 for 1. So
okay,
not bad, not bad.
Yeah, he had the Drake May pick when Jaden Daniels got hurt, and that's what hurt us that one. So, this week though, Matt, great pick. I love it. 175 plus. Bo Nix alt line against the Falcons. Fancy Bengals money line. All of us picked that. So that's kind of one of those where that's probably the one we're really, really banking on.
That's our we see the value there because
and we're gonna know it because we have a noon game, an afternoon game, and a night game. So hopefully going into that night game, the only thing we need is the Bengals to win. So if you guys are gonna tell us, keep in mind that you guys can hedge the bet, you guys can cash out. Keep those things in mind, especially if the game's trending in the right way. The Bengals go up 7-0. You might want to look into that. But I took Cedric Tillman. It's gonna start us off on Sunday. 40 plus receiving yards. Like I was telling you guys pre-production. The last 3 weeks that he's been playing, pretty much the only games he's been playing this season after Amari Cooper got traded, Jameis Winston has been targeting him at least 9 times a game. It was like 9, 12, and 11. The lowest yardage that he has is like 88 or 78. So I think this clears easily, very safe, quick lock. $25 to win 94. So, can't go wrong with that, But the last thing we have for you guys before we head out on this episode is trivia with Matt. So we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
All right. Thanks, Fancy, for that.
It's a vibe song, dude.
Love it. All right. So welcome to Trivia Time. We talked about the Rizzler getting it done for the Saints this week. Interim head coach coming in after firing, and they end up winning.
Calling him the Rizzler?
His name's like Rizzy or something, isn't it?
I thought that's what they were calling him.
No, that's what I couldn't think of his name. That's what I called him last week because I wasn't sure. I knew it was
Rizzler.
Rattler.
So I need you guys to think about the record of the teams against the spread in their first game after firing their head coach. And this is since 2020. There have been 13 of such games.
So, and their total record combined.
So the record out of those 13.
That fancy means the two numbers you pick have to add up to 13.
I mean, you can pick different numbers if you want. You're just going to be wrong. So it's up to you.
Fancy's like 18 and 12. Oklahoma.
So we've got two this year. We've got Robert Saleh and we've got Dennis Allen.
Okay. Well, we know one. And we know 1-1. Yeah. Okay. So 13. So it can't be a dead even split. So I'm gonna go 5-8.
5-8. Fancy.
It's probably lower. Yeah.
I'm gonna go 6-7. I feel like that first game after kind of seems exciting.
Yeah, I was thinking the Raiders, they won right after. That's where I was like, that's 2, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go. Oh yeah, I like what I picked. 6-7.
I feel like before you say it, I feel like it's gonna be like 3-10. It's a trick.
Very well could be
10-3.
Ooh, spicy. I was
right earlier then with how the teams come out with a little more juice after the coach gets fired.
Whatever happens, right? Whatever that dysfunction was, they come back
crazy.
And they either try to show that they can do it, under a new system.
They are auditioning, yeah.
Well, right? And on top of that, another team, when you're going into it, you're like, oh, they got a head coach fired. Like, let's just do our thing, whatever else. You don't know what the hell they're doing.
You don't have a plan. Yeah. They don't have nothing to lose.
Yeah. They're more riskier. They're going to just throw it on the table and just see what sticks,
So
that one was a shocker.
Yeah. So it just shows when McCarthy gets fired. I know we're picking against
Cowboys are going to win that week.
We got to look at that. Just
keep that in mind. Talk about, not that I know we're past it, but Matt, you did pick the Texans, and the Texans just lost to the Lions. So your Lions hangover. Gosh, I hope
the Packers, and we haven't played a team yet.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
They're playing two teams.
No, yeah, you called it though. You called it.
Your,
No, I'm talking about fantasy. I'm
rule.
not talking about the Texans Cowboys makes sense. I'm saying though,
Yeah.
the Bears Packers though, the Packers lost. They went on a bye. You said you went with the Cowboys. That was your logic.
You're right. After the bye, I still counted
so you
it.
didn't do it. So hang on, I didn't think about that.
Wait, I don't understand.
So
saying,
we talked
you were
about
right. Like, the Cowboys lost
the
to the Lions. They went on a bye, and then me and you picked the Cowboys over whoever the hell it was, and then they lost. And Matt,
that's what I'm saying. They still lost. Yeah.
No, the Cowboys came back and won.
When did they play the Lions?
I'm sorry, they lost. I'm sorry, fantasy's getting me all confused. They lost. Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. I'm pretty sure
the
after
Lions
the bye,
over after a bye still came true.
Yeah.
So now the Packers to make it perfect still of the Lions hangover, the Packers would need to lose to the Bears this week.
Right, and you picked against that.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. And you picked against the Dallas one.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the Dallas one makes sense, but still, like
I'm just saying.
Imagine though the Bears win this week. Bears fans are on all hopes, thinking that they're going to turn the season around.
If Bears and Cowboys win this week, Texans don't make Super Bowl.
But okay, let me ask you this though: if the Bears,
Lions don't make Super Bowl. Sorry.
If the Bears and the Cowboys win, though, are you going to start shading it every single week going forward?
No, because I don't think. I mean, you can't always talk in absolutes, anyways, right? Anytime
it's working it still has worked every single time.
I know that's true.
It's worked with the Chiefs.
All right, ask me again next week when the Bears and the Cowboys somehow win these.
So if they go 2-0, you'll debate it.
Ooh. I might have to. I mean, it's
okay. So if Bears lose, Packers lose, Chiefs lose, we have to rewrite everything. We have to, right?
Wait, no, you're saying if the Chiefs? No,
just because we've always said Chiefs won't lose because the refs. It's like it's stupid to bet against them. We all took the Bills, and then we all took the Packers, and we all took the Texans. So if we're wrong on those three, we have to change it up.
Yeah, then it's backed by science.
Period.
At that point.
Period. At that point, that is fact.
Well, to be fair, I did think that you guys were going to go Chiefs, so I thought
I did too.
That's why
I literally thought you guys were going to go Bears, and I thought you guys were going to go. Someone was going to pick something else. So.
Oh yeah. Let us know down in the comments though, especially with that trivia question. That trivia question was tricky. Let us know.
That's pretty good.
Maybe when you were listening, you predicted in your head or whatever.
Was your team any of those teams?
Yeah, or pause it and drop it down in the comments before you hear the answer. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Follow us on our socials. We hope you guys like the new intro, the new outro. Matt spent a lot of time doing those things. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. This is my last podcast in this setup. This is the room I've always been doing them in. Moving somewhere else, so this is the last one. So hopefully next week there's no technical difficulties and I get everything good to go. But yeah, excited for that. Excited to continue doing this, and yeah, it was fun. So, you guys got anything?
Had a great time.
Go Lions.
I knew he was. I literally saw it on his face of like he had nothing to say, so he's going to tip in Go Lions. Yeah,
I'm nauseous.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, we love you guys, and see you guys next week.